Okay, so we pick it up from where we stopped in the last class. Okay, we've seen some of the elements we can find or we can use in the head of our HTML document. So we'll move to the body. Okay, but before that, let's talk about comments. Okay, we use comments in HTML. Now, what are comments? Comments are just statements that the browser ignores. Okay, now this is the tag for comments. You start with this and you end with this. Okay, so everything in between is a comment. So let's look at our text editor to see what we're talking about. Okay, now if I want to add a comment, this is how to add a comment. Anything that goes in between will be ignored by the browser. Take for instance, you can see this title here is responsible for displaying this. You can see it here, my first. Okay, now if I add comments to this line for the browser to ignore it, you see the effect. Okay, so I have added comments here, the opening and the closing. So after saving it, you can see we no longer have my first here. Why? This tells the browser to ignore what I have here. Okay, so let me undo that. Okay, I've removed the comment, so let me save it now. So you can see now my first has returned to this part. Okay, so you understand that now, that the browser ignores anything in between a comment. Okay, so your first assignment comes from here. Okay, why do we use comments? If the browser ignores comments, why should we use comments since the browser ignores comments? Okay, so we'll proceed to some of the elements we can find in the body. Okay, so we have text elements, images, tables, lists, links. Okay, so in the course outline, we saw something semantic HTML. Okay, so right now we are not really considering semantic HTML, just need to be aware of some of the tags. Okay, so when we get to semantic HTML, you learn more about the meaning of the tags. So to add text to a web page, how do we add text? There are different kinds of tags we can use to add text to our web page. Okay, one of them is the paragraph. So you can see this, the P opening and P closing. Okay, so this is my first paragraph. Let me save it. So you can see that this is my first paragraph. Another element that can be used to add text to a web page is this. Okay, not really text. Okay, this is actually used to link documents. So we won't be using this because you can use any elements. You can use text to link to a document, you can use an image to link to a document. So this doesn't go. Okay, another element that can be used to add text to a web page is the H1. Okay, so when we get to semantic HTML, you understand the meaning of this H1. Okay, this is heading, level. So I save it So you can see there's a difference between this and this, but they are all text. Okay, so I can also so this is heading level 2. Okay, so you can see it's H2. So we have H1, H2 all the way to H6. This is heading level 6. Okay, now you can see them. They have their default styling, okay, but you don't use this when you want your text to be bigger. No. This is heading. It's used to like divide your web page into different sections. So when we get to semantic HTML, you will learn their proper usage. But some people use them for sizing of the text, because this one is bigger, this one. So when they want something of this size, you use CSS for that. Once you are writing your HTML, there's something called separation of concerns. Okay, HTML for representation of the elements, CSS is for the styling, and JavaScript for functionality. So you don't mix them up. So once you are writing your HTML, you forget about styling. When you are done with the HTML, then you start the styling. Okay, so but you don't use HTML elements for the purpose of styling. So these are just two of elements we can use to add text to our web pages. Okay, so what other elements can we find on a web page? We can find images. Okay, now let's take a look at a typical website. news.samsung.com. So you can see this website, so beautiful. Okay, but I want us to take a look at what it will look like without the styling. Okay, so here is okay, so this is it. Okay, so this is the web page now, right, with JavaScript, HTML and CSS. So let's disable the CSS. Okay, good. So the same web page but without the CSS. So when you are writing your HTML, this is what you are going to get before styling. So these are different elements. You use HTML to add them to your web page. Okay, so when CSS is added, then you can now get this. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that, so that when we're writing the HTML, we forget about the beauty of the page. Okay, just learn about the elements for HTML first. So how do we add images to our web page? Okay, now to add images. Okay, so because of the time, we'll look at that in the next video.